Welcome back to beautiful downtown Hudson, Massachusetts at Hudson Appliance for another episode of Wicked Good Food. Today, we're actually going to use this baby right here for everything that we cook. All right, this is microwave munchies. So what I want to do is show a bunch of different ways that we can use a microwave that are not reheating leftovers and not making popcorn. They do really well at those jobs, but believe it or not, there are a handful of other jobs the microwave does really, really well, and it's actually gets to be an underused tool in a lot of kitchens. It ends up being frowned upon by a lot of different cooks and chefs, but there are some pretty good uses. So I'm going to show you a whole bunch of them today. There's 7 or 8 things that we're going to try to make in our time. First thing we're going to do is, I have this fresh thyme. So I bought this thyme for a show we were going to do, and I have a bunch left over. That happens to me a lot. I'll buy some fresh herbs, I need a few tablespoons of it, and all of a sudden you have a bunch of herbs left. So you can take them and hang them and let them dry is one way to do it. You can throw them away, or you can dry them really quickly and pretty efficiently in the microwave. So what I'm going to do is take a microwave safe plate and a couple pieces of paper towel. And I'm going to take, so for the thyme, I want to get rid of most of the stems. So I'm just going to go through and pull the stems out, like that. And you want to do as much as will comfortably fit in one level, in one layer on your plate. So just a few, I'm just going to do a few sprigs. We could do a little bit more. Maybe one more here. But one of the cool things about drying in the microwave is the food actually retains a little, the herbs actually retain a little bit more of their color than if you were to do them, just leave them out to dry. So we got most of the stems out of there. So that's enough just to show you, but I'm going to put another paper towel on top, make sure they're all underneath, and pop it into our microwave. And I actually have right here a test batch that I did. I'll throw these in. And I'm going to do 1 minute, just let that go for 1 minute. But here is some thyme that I just did just before. And now, check it out. If you look at the difference between the fresh and the dry, if you can see that they're very similar in color, although these dry ones now have gotten a lot smaller because the water is no longer in them. And I'll show you, this can be saved just like this, or you can break it up with a mortar and pestle. But watch what I can do just with my fingers. I can break this into a powder. So just like that, that was 1 minute, and wow, it smells fantastic. That was 1 minute, and we've got this beautiful dry thyme. So I'm going to move this aside just to show you another herb that we can do. It's got 15 seconds to go there on that one. We're going to use the same procedure and use some parsley. Same thing, I have some flat leaf parsley that's left over. This, it's important that you remove all the stems, so I want to use mostly just the leaves. If there's a little bit of stem attached to the leaf, no big deal. Those thyme leaves can hang out in there for a couple of minutes. They can hang out in there indefinitely. To be honest with you, I forgot they were in there before we started this segment, and there's nothing wrong with them. So it's not one of these things that you have to get out right away. We'll do a few more here. And obviously, the nicer the herbs you start with are going to make the dried herbs be that much nicer. So if you know you're not going to use all your herbs, don't wait. Go ahead and dry them in the microwave right away. So that looks like enough to fill up that plate. Put that on top. We'll grab our thyme we just did. I'm going to put these in. So with this, I'm just using the quick minute button. 1 minute. So here, let's check it out. We've got, like I just showed you, dry thyme. Once again, I can just take it with my fingers and make it into a little powder. So there's a really quick use for this dry thyme. So I'm going to combine both of these together here. Because we're going to use some of this thyme on a dish we're going to make in a few minutes. So we've got some parsley going right now. So a while ago, I lost a bunch of weight and I did this low carb diet. And I love chips. I love munchy stuff, like crunchy stuff. So my wife would oftentimes make cream cheese and salsa. You microwave it a little bit. It's one of our favorite snacks. but I didn't want to have the chips. So what I would do is I would make pepperoni chips. So I have here some deli pepperoni. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spread it out on this plate. If you want, you can put a paper towel underneath it. I'm going to let these go just because so you can see the amazing amount of fat that's going to come out of these. I'm just going to arrange them in a ring like this. Actually, before I do that, I should check this out to make sure we're happy with how dry this got. So I like to start at a minute. Let's check it out. Oh yeah, once again, nice and dry. If you can see the little bits coming between my fingers. So, and as it cools down, it'll actually get a little more crunchy. So there's some dry parsley as well. So throw our pepperoni in. Hit my quick minute button for 1 minute. This will take a little longer than a minute, but a minute's a good start. Believe it or not, pepperoni's not the most healthy thing for you in the world, but this removes an incredible amount of fat. What you do is as it heats up, the fat that's in there ends up squeezing out of the pepperoni, and the pepperoni actually shrinks a little bit. And if we do it right, we'll end up with something that's pretty much like a chip. I like to use the big pepperoni, so you can go to the deli and go and just ask for slices of pepperoni like this. A moderate thickness. You don't want them to be super thick or they won't get really crunchy. And if they're super thin, they'll tend to, they can burn, but also they won't hold up as well if you go to use them as a dip. So we're going to let those go for a couple minutes. Let's move a couple of these things. So another thing you can do is garlic. So I have a whole head of garlic here. So you can actually take, and one of my favorite things to eat is roasted garlic, a nice soft clove of garlic that you can just spread on some bread. You can do that in the microwave as well. You don't get quite the same roastiness, but you get the same texture. You get all the other parts of it. So I'll show you real quick. So this isn't done yet, but you can see there's a bunch of grease on there that's about to pour off, but they've shrunken. If I show you the size that they started out as compared to where we are now, but they're not crunchy yet. So I'm going to go for, I think I'll go for another minute. So with garlic, you're going to help it along a little bit. You don't just throw it in. But what you're going to do is actually cut, and you want to cut through the tops of all the cloves. So I got most of them there. I want to get the others. Just to expose them all. I'm going to put them in a microwave-safe bowl like this. I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of oil. I'm going to put in a little bit of water. Take a look at our pepperoni. 20 seconds to go. It's still bubbling nicely. One of the ways you can tell it's still working is that it's still bubbling. Once it stops bubbling, all the fat that's going to come out of it has, and you're going to get to the point where it's going to burn. So I'm going to keep an eye on it for our last 5, 4, 3 seconds here. So now we're getting to somewhere where we're crunchy. So what I want to do is I want to drain this fat off. I don't want to eat this fat. That's one of the beauties of what we're doing here is we're removing a lot of the fat out of it. So I'm just going to take them and put them right on our paper towel here. They'll seem a little bit flimsy at first, but once they cool off, they'll be nice and crunchy. And they're wicked hot right now. So just to show you, I can't even lift it that much because there's so much, but look there's easily a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons of fat that we just took out of this pepperoni. And we have something that's going to have a really fun, unique texture. It's like getting a pepperoni pizza when that pepperoni gets real crunchy and that's cool contrast in texture. But instead of all the fat running onto the pizza, which sometimes is a good thing, it's all going to end up in the paper towel and in our dish. So here I've got our clove of garlic. I want to season it. So over here I have a pepper mill. I'll put some pepper right on top. And I'm going to add some salt right on top of it. Oops, that was a little aggressive. We'll see how that comes out. But we want to cover it because what we're going to do is actually steam it as it cooks. So I'm going to use another plate. I'm going to take a microwave safe plate and put it right on top. We can flip it over this way too. going to put it in the microwave. And we're going to go for 3 minutes. So this will go 3 minutes. We'll check it after 3 minutes and see if we're ready. One of the things that's really important about cooking in the microwave is to get to know your microwave. They're all different wattages, and even ones that are the same wattage that might be a little older or a little more beat up might not cook the same. So it's important to beware. The recipes I'm giving you work really well on this particular microwave. Yours might be more powerful, so it might take less time. Yours might be less powerful, so it might take more time. So the recipes aren't really set in stone until you figure out exactly what your microwave will do. So, one of my favorite microwave treats is actually using Parmesan cheese. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 2 treats out of this hunk of Parmesan cheese. If you can see this, the outside of this wheel is darker. This is called the rind. So this is a part of the Parmesan that has dried out more. So it doesn't have as good of a texture. It's great to throw into a big pot of bolognese sauce and let cook and cook and cook. It's great to use to add flavor to things, but it doesn't have the best texture. You can certainly grate it. I could use the microplane here and grate it, but it doesn't have as much moisture. So we're going to try to make these into these little cheese puffs. So I'm going to cut the rind off. And this is actually a pretty soft, fresh wheel of cheese. So the rind isn't that intense. But I'm going to cut these into slightly smaller bits. So I've got little sticks and then the little sticks. Cut into little cubes. So it's about 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. Not exactly. But these end up being really cool. But the thing that I first made in the microwave, beyond popcorn, beyond warming things up, were these little Parmesan Crisps. So I'm going to take this Parmesan cheese and I'm going to use my microplane here. Actually, I'm not going to use the microplane. I'm going to use this grater here, and I'm just going to grate some of it. Now, this is something you can totally make in the oven, and I had made it many, many times in the oven, and I still make it in the oven if I have to do a lot of cheese for a lot of people. But if you want a quick snack or a quick garnish, you really can't beat some fresh Parmesan turned into a little crisp. So what we're going to do, I'm going to grab one of these plates here, is take the Parmesan cheese, and you can do just one on there or you can do a few, but I'm going to take and just make a little row of it. What we're going to do is microwave it, and it's going to melt. So now it's standing up about this tall, but as it melts, it's going to get flat. There's going to still be some little holes in there, and if we do it right, it'll turn a little bit golden brown. When it comes out, it'll be totally pliable. So if we wanted to hang it over this handle and make like a taco shell shape out of it, we could do that. If we want to just leave it straight, but once it cools down, it'll get nice and dry. So I'm going to remove our plate, and I'm going to need to grab a towel because that one is hot. And so I just want to poke at it and see, oh, yeah, you know what? We're done. This is like perfect. This is very exciting. So while we do this, I'm going to take our Parmesan cheese, go ahead and pop this in our microwave. I'm going to go for a quick minute again and let that go. Now this is going to be really hot, but I'm going to see if I can do it without burning myself. But check it out. We can just pop these cloves of garlic right out. And so we've got this nice, soft, roasted garlic that I can take my knife, and I'll do it on the cutting board so you can see, but I can just take it and smash it into a paste, just like that. I'm going to try a little bit. Yeah, it has that really mellow, cooked, roasted garlic flavor. It's really good. You can play around with it a little bit by adding some different seasonings. I thought I was a little aggressive with the salt. Turns out I wasn't. That was actually a good amount of salt. I used a vegetable oil, but extra virgin olive oil would be really nice in there as well. But yeah, you can just squeeze the little cloves out now that it's not going to burn me as much. And just pop them right onto your bread or whatever you want to do with it. All right, let's take a look over here. All right, I'll show you what we've got. So we're pretty close. We can see a little bit of browning on there. Actually, let's say these are done. Let's give it a whirl. I have a fork here, and it should come off relatively easily. So we can take this piece here, and why don't we do that? We'll take it and kind of hang it over our handle while it's warm, and it'll make an interesting shape. So I'm going to leave this, we'll stand it right there for a minute. Actually, you know what? Now that it has that shape, we'll just hang it over the glass. Then this one will come off. But if we let this cool down a little bit, you'll find it's really, really crunchy. It's got this, it's like a cracker almost. And it's another wonderful thing to add a little bit of contrast and texture. We actually use these at our restaurant. This week, one of our students made a fantastic risotto. She actually made one with some nice spring peas and another one that had, I forget what else was in the other one. Either way, they use this as a garnish. So imagine a nice bowl of nice, thick, hearty risotto, and this was kind of standing up in it to give it a little bit of height. So we've cooked a whole bunch of stuff in a pretty short amount of time. We're going to take a break. I'm going to clean up some of these things, get a little bit organized so that Arthur knows what he's looking at when he gets up here. But don't go away, because we're actually going to use microwave to make some potato chips with literally no fat. They're going to be outstanding. All right, so got a little reorganized here, plated up a couple of the things, got them ready to go. The next thing we're going to work on is our potato chips. So I have here a baker potato or a russet or an Idaho potato. And then this tool here is called a mandolin. So this is a French mandolin. There are other versions that you can get that don't have as many attachments and contraptions, but this is fantastic. So I'm just going to set this thing up, and I want to move it so that the feet will stand up like this. Then from here, what I can do is I can raise and lower this portion here to make a thinner or thicker slice of potato. And you can do all sorts of different cuts, but we're just going to look for really thin cuts. So I want to run them over and I want to check. This is a little thicker than I want, so I'm going to adjust it a little bit. I'm going to move these out of the way so I don't use the ones that are too thick. Let's check these out. Still a little thick. That's all right. That's good. That's great. You can actually see through the chip a little bit if you can see that other potato behind it. That's what we're looking for a thickness here. So I'm going to do a bunch of chips. So this is a great way to do a super low-fat potato chip, but it's not a very efficient way to do potato chips. It's great if you're doing a little bit for a snack, but I wouldn't do them for a whole party full of people. And that's good enough. So these come with a guard that I would suggest you use, especially if you're trying to get every last little bit. But I was just keeping my hand flat, making sure I didn't go anywhere near this blade because this blade is very sharp. I'm going to take these potatoes and put them right here in this bowl of water. And one of the things you'll see is as we let them sit here, and you can see already, they release an awful lot of their starch into the water. So I just want to separate them so that they're not stuck to each other, because that's what our goal is here, is we're looking to remove a fair amount of the starch that's on them. That's going to help us have a nice, crispy, crunchy, finished potato chip. Isn't that kind of amazing, though, the amount of starch that comes out of the potato? All right. If you want to get them really, really clean, you could take this water, dump it out, add more cold water to it, mix it around, do it a couple times until they run really clear. But for the sake of what we're doing, we're just going to let them sit like that for a few minutes. So one of the things I forgot to make is our little Parmesan Crisps. So I'm going to put these little bits of Parmesan right on this plate. Yeah, we'll do them all on there. We're going to go for 30 seconds. So one of the things that's really cool with the rind is it kind of puffs up a little bit and gets airy, and it gives this really cool texture to it. We'll see if this works because it's not super, super dry. But one of the neat things about this, and I'll show you this tool a little bit since we're standing here, is that I can change the blade here on it and make little strips like that. I can do really fine strips like a julienne with it. Now these aren't quite done yet. I'll pop them out and show you. This one here, you can see how it's really bubbly all around, but some of these you can still see the shape of the cheese, so it needs a little more time. We're looking for them to get a little more of something like that. I'm going to go another 30 seconds, but I want to keep a little bit of an eye on it. But this is a great tool. This is very expensive though. You don't need one of these stainless steel deals. Some of the cheap ones that have the little blades that you can stick in and take out are fantastic. All right, so to make our potato chips, let's take a peek at these. Yeah, they're looking good. I'm going to take a plate. I'm going to spray it with a little non-stick spray. So I guess they're technically not totally fat-free because there's a little bit of fat in the spray. There we go. Now check it out. See how they puffed up like that? That's exactly what we're looking for. I'm going to let them hang out like this, and then we'll pop them off in a little bit. So for our chips, I'm going to take a rag. I'm going to put it on my board here. And then take some of the potatoes and just kind of lay them out in one layer. And what we're looking to do here is just to dry them off. We want to dry off our chips a bit. And that's plenty. And then, actually, I don't even need those ones. I'm going to fold the whole thing over like this. Just apply a little bit of pressure. Try to get them nice and relatively dry at least. And then I'm going to stick them on our plate. You don't want them overlapping at all. And a larger plate would be better. It'd be great to have a plate without a rim. You can fit more in there. So I'm going to set this for 2 minutes and start. So this Thermador microwave is a great microwave. It's pretty powerful, and it's a nice big microwave. No matter what your microwave is, you want to just take care to pay attention, especially on these chips, because they will all take a different amount of time to cook. And you may well follow your recipe exactly 2 separate times, but they cook very differently. And it could be because of your potato, because different potatoes from different farms, from different times of the year, have different amounts of starch and different amounts of sugar in them. So you'll find that some will brown more or less than others. So we're going to give that a little bit of time. These are ready to go in for another batch. Maybe I'll set that up right here on this plate. So I'll spray this again. Hopefully I won't knock anything else over. And so this is one of the things that I was saying where we can use some of our dry herbs. So when these come out, we can put a little bit of our dry herbs right on top. Or we can put a little bit of cheese right on top. But those are looking great. Another reason why you want to keep them in water until you're ready to use them is the potatoes will oxidize. They'll turn brown really quickly. So I'm going to stop this at 1.5 minutes and just show you how they look at 1.5 minutes. So our potatoes started out looking like this, and now they've shrunken down a bit. Now they look like that. They're still pretty floppy. If I were to take them, they're still really floppy, but they started the process of drying out. So I'm going to put these back in the microwave. I'm not sure how long they're going to take. They might take another 1.5 minutes, maybe 2.5 minutes, but we'll take a little break. We'll come back, and then we're actually going to make 2 separate desserts in our microwave before we get Arthur up here. Hey, Arthur.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks again for having me here at Hudson Appliance. Today, we put your Thermador microwave to good use.
Okay, good.
Right? So we cooked all this stuff in the microwave, and we're going to cook one more thing right now.
Okay.
We're going to make it as we speak. We're going to make a brownie in a mug. All right?
Oh, that
Nothing
sounds
in there.
cool.
I'm going to add a quarter cup of flour.
It's like a magic show.
You know it. I was going to have you do this, but then you wore a white shirt. Quarter cup of sugar. So one of the recipes I've used before uses cocoa powder. I didn't have any the other day, and my kids were jonesing for brownie really quick. So I used hot cocoa mix, and it came out great.
Really?
So I'm going to use a packet of hot cocoa mix. I'm going to mix up and a little bit of salt. I'm going to mix this around real quick. And all we're looking for is to incorporate all the ingredients. Make sure you reach down into the bottom, see how it's all the same color now?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to add a quarter cup of water, a couple tablespoons of vegetable oil, and some chocolate chips, because who's going to stop us?
That's right.
Mix this around until it's well mixed.
Yeah, this is something you can make while you're watching TV, and
This is something you can make while you're making TV, like we're doing right now. So I'm going to stick this in the microwave. 80 seconds. Start.
okay.
Check this out. So we took Parmesan cheese,
Yep.
shredded it real fine, and made this. Go ahead and try one of these. They're these little crunchies.
Oh, that's good. Real good.
Now this is the rind from the Parmesan, the dried out outer part.
Yep.
That's not great for some uses, but if you take it and just pop it in the microwave, it puffs up really well, and you get this crunchy and a little bit chewy.
That's very tasty. Very, very tasty.
So that's all Parmesan.
Okay.
These are potato chips.
Okay.
So this is a potato. Go ahead and try one of those.
Now, they're both the same?
They're both the same, except that one, as soon as it came out while it was hot, I put some Parmesan cheese on it and let it melt right on top. I don't know if you can hear Arthur crunch, but these are very crunchy. And so these are almost no fat. They're a guilt-free snack.
Almost really no fat.
Because
That
all
means we
this
can eat the whole pile then.
That's
Like
right,
it
in
more.
one bite if you want.
Now, a pepperoni chip?
Pepperoni. So it literally is pepperoni. Nice big deli-style pepperoni that we just microwaved. And see how it snaps?
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
A little more intense in the flavor of it. We dried 2 herbs here. So this is parsley that we dried out, and that's thyme. So fresh parsley, fresh thyme, just let them go, dried them out.
Okay.
Look at how fine, how dry they get, that I can actually kind of go like this and make just a powder on top.
Wow.
And see how it retained that beautiful bright color? Now here, this is garlic. So it's a whole head of garlic that we roasted.
You don't mind me not having a bite of that?
Nope, and that's all right.
Okay.
So right in here, but it got nice and soft. This we just put in a bowl and covered it.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of oil and a little bit of water in it. Ready to check this out?
I am, and I got my fork ready too.
So we'll show the people at home, or try to.
Let's
Check
show
it
the
out.
people at home how we eat it.
All right, so we'll dig right in there.
Oh,
It's
that's
going to be very hot, so be careful. What do you think of that?
your kids were right.
They are.
They were right 100%. Now, that is wicked good.